A lot of people have no idea about Utah.
It's not on the map. The way I put it, it's a well-kept secret. The numbers range anywhere from 30 to 60,000 Muslims from Ogden to Provo. Most stores are not allowed to sell liquor. So we've had people taking the Shahada on a weekly basis. I've been Imam in the state of Utah for 24 years, and I have never in my 24 years seen so many people taking the Shahada as I've seen this year. But that's the story with every masjid. Allah's help comes through. I don't believe that a masjid should look exotic or foreign or Eastern or Oriental. Masjid should look, feel like an American architecture.
Subhanallah.
Most people who are driving past cannot tell this is a masjid.
Yeah.
Even though there's a 40-foot minaret out there. Our priority was not to make it big and beautiful. Our priority was to make it functional.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
My name is Shuaib Dean, and I am the Imam here at Utah Islamic Center. Our history is typical to any mosque in America. We started in 2007 by renting in a strip mall, and we rented for 13 years, and we purchased land in 2014. Then we again started collecting funds, and we started construction in 2019.
Can we go back a little further? Do you know about the history of Muslims in Utah?
Muslims in Utah, they have been here for quite a while. I would say since the 50s and early 60s. First came as students. Mostly our population from the 90s onward, refugee population from different Muslim countries around the world.
This masjid is fairly recent.
Yes, this is the newest, now the largest mosque in the state of Utah. So we completed construction in June of 2020. We have 3 Friday prayer sessions. It is a heavily visited, alhamdulillah, inhabited masjid.
And what's the size of the masjid?
The size is 14,356 square feet.
How many people can pray here?
Top and bottom, both floors, you can fit 1,050.
What was the cost?
Total cost of this masjid was $3,365,833.36.
MashaAllah, you have it right to that cent.
Yes.
That's including the lot?
No, cost of the lot was $587,000.
Almost $4 million.
Yes. That doesn't include the audio video system and other things that we added since construction. But alhamdulillah, even the timing is from Allah. We didn't have quite the funds. The required, recommended, suggested funding is you should have at least 50% before you start construction, before you break ground. We only had 27% of that. But luckily we started when we started, because if we had waited another year, then we would have been hit by COVID, right? And the cost of construction would have doubled. This same mosque, if you were to build it today in 2024, would cost close to $6 million.
And what made you take that trust in Allah and start construction?
Well, trust in Allah, and also the community does get a little anxious because they give and they don't see anything going up, and it's hard to explain to the community that you need 50% of the money before you break ground. But they want to see something. Our community is a very visual community, so of course when they see the masjid going up, everyone gets excited and and wants to take part, and Allah helps. Allah's help always comes through. But that's the story with every masjid. Allah's help comes through, and alhamdulillah, we finished on time without any delay in construction. And the construction company, they don't want to drag this on. They want to come in and out. So we finished construction in 13 months.
It's really fast, mashallah. Tell us about the demographics of this masjid.
It's very ethnically diverse. It's hard to say that any one ethnic community forms the majority, but I usually divide the Muslim community into 4 ethnic groups if we must. One is Middle Eastern, one is subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, one is our Somali community, and then of course you have our convert community and others. So we have a fair mix of all, alhamdulillah. Yes.
One of the most diverse masajid here. A lot of people have no idea about Utah, the Muslims especially. They know about East Coast, West Coast, or Texas, but Utah is not on the radar.
It's not on the map. The way I put it, it's a well-kept secret, right? So not many Muslims, because when people hear about Utah and Muslims, they're like, are there Muslims in Utah? But there is a sizable presence. The numbers range anywhere from 30 to 60,000 Muslims from Ogden to Provo, but I would say closer to 40, 45,000. It's probably one of the best places to raise a family because the predominant religion in the state of Utah is the LDS faith. And even though our beliefs might vary, but the values that they place on family and modesty, it's not unusual to see a mom in Walmart with 4 children. You don't see that in other states and cities. You'll see a mom with 4 or 5 children, they place high emphasis on spending time with the family, family values, and modesty. It's a good place. Most stores are not allowed to sell liquor. Costco does not sell liquor. Walmart, Smith, all the grocery stores do not sell liquor. Only the state can sell. It's the state-owned liquor stores, and they close at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. so that you go home and spend time with your family.
Yes.
Perception that people have about Utah is either its beauty of the national parks or the LDS Mormon church. As a Muslim, how Muslim community's experience been with the LDS faith?
Overall, it's been very positive. The higher ups in the LDS church hierarchy, they actually encourage followers of the LDS faith. They prefer to be called LDS, not Mormon, to extend friendship and enlarge in their social circle to include people of other faiths, such as Muslims. Sometimes it does not have the trickle-down effect, but for the most part, they're very, very welcoming. The LDS Church has a policy of donating $25,000 to any place of worship that is being built from scratch. So the Hindu temple received $25,000 from the LDS Church. This mosque received $25,000 from the LDS Church. The mosque that we built, purpose-built mosque 20 years ago, the mosque in West Valley, that also received $25,000. They have their missionary work. Missionaries might show up at your door, but that's part of worldwide church efforts. So they believe they are a missionary religion, just like Islam is a missionary religion.
Have you seen any people of other faith becoming Muslim, taking Shahada? People from the LDS faiths, you see them become Muslim here too?
Yes, yes, of course. 2024 has been a startling, amazing year for us in terms of people taking the Shahada. So we've had people taking the Shahada on a weekly basis. I've been Imam in the state of Utah for 24 years, and I have never in my 24 years seen so many people taking the Shahada as I've seen this year. 3 occasions where 2 or more people took Shahada at the same time who are not related to one another. 3 non-Muslims, unrelated to one another, taking Shahada same night after Isha prayer.
Why is that happening?
There's various factors. For example, the recent conflict in Gaza, right? That has opened people's eyes. Even though they're carrying their dead infant, they're saying, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. They say, what is the source of that faith? I could not say that as a strong, believing Christian. I would never be able to bring God at that moment into my life when I'm going through such misery. As a matter of fact, I would probably blame God. That's what people are thinking, in the back of their mind. But here they see believers, Muslims, praising Allah and being content over their circumstances. Just a recent factor. Other than there's many factors. Being an outdoorsy state, we wanted to catch as much of the outdoor beauty as we could. And Allah Azza wa Jal does encourage us in the Quran time and again to look around, to look at the beauty that He has created for us. The mountains, and the mountains are mentioned numerous times in the Quran. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ وَإِلَى السَّمَاءِ كَيْفَ رُفِعَتْ وَإِلَى الْجِبَالِ كَيْفَ نُصِبَتْ. And that's what our state is known for, in the beautiful mountains.
And was that the reason why you have this open member?
Masjids for hundreds of years are not damp and closed, they're very open, bringing in the maximum amount of light possible. So this helps. And of course, if ever we want to bring the shades down and not have the outside view, we can always do that very
Subhanallah.
majestically and elegantly.
MashaAllah. So the shades come down and
Shades come down.
then you have the Shahada right here.
If we ever feel there's too much light coming in.
Absolutely. That was great design, MashaAllah.
We wanted our masjid to have a contemporary feel to it. I don't believe that a masjid should look exotic or foreign or Eastern or Oriental. Masjid should feel like an American architecture.
Subhanallah.
A masjid is a representation of Islam. So we want the masjid to be simple because Islam teaches simplicity. We want the masjid to be beautiful because Islam teaches beauty. We want the masjid to be practical and functional because Islam is very logical. The flow should be easy for the people. And masjid should not feel Eastern because Islam is not Eastern. It's not Arabian. A masjid should not look like it's a transplant from Saudi Arabia or Pakistan. That doesn't mean a masjid has to look like a dentist office or an office building.
Yes.
No, or a library. No. Masjid should maintain its unique features, which it has maintained for over 1,000 years, which is a minaret and a dome. But you can have a minaret and a dome and still blend in with the local American architecture. If you look at a masjid in China, 1,200-year-old masjid, does it look like a masjid from a Middle Eastern country? No. It blends in with the Chinese architecture.
Absolutely.
So why doesn't a masjid in America blend in with the local architecture?
That's right.
It would actually make people feel comfortable. People make it look like Islam is foreign or an exotic religion. Islam is a universal religion. It's as much Western as it is Eastern.
And this is like a great example of
Good example of
Islam in America. This
Most people who are driving past cannot tell this is a masjid.
Yeah.
Even though there's a 40-foot minaret out there. But they can't tell because I think we've done a pretty good job at blending in with the local architecture. There is a crescent on top.
When I was riding towards the masjid, I was thinking to myself, I've never seen a masjid like this. It really does blend in with the mountains. Like the colors, the blue and white colors, just like behind you right now.
Right.
Was that intentional?
That was intentional. Many times there's not enough time spent with the architect from the local community. Someone from the local community has to spend time with the architect because the architect 9 out of 10 times is a non-Muslim who's probably never stepped inside a mosque. And that was the case with our architect, Naylor and Naylor. Did a wonderful job, but had never stepped inside a mosque. So you need someone from the community to spend time with the architect to have a well-designed mosque.
And what was the inspiration?
Our focus was on function. You know, there's a lot of things that are very functional in this mosque. It's not about having a big mosque or a beautiful mosque. Our main emphasis was it should be functional. Why build a huge mosque where 90% of the square footage is dedicated to the prayer space when you only use that prayer space once a week for 20 minutes? It's a waste of square footage. And then you're at a loss where to do your other activities, and you end up showing SpongeBob movies in the mosque because you have no other place. Our multi-purpose hall downstairs is larger than the prayer space because you can use the multi-purpose hall for overflow for prayer, but you cannot use the prayer space for many of your multi-purpose activities.
That's right.
So being practical, being functional, not being too emotional. For example, if we went with a circular dome, it would have cost us an additional $86,000.
Oh, really? Subhanallah. And that's why you chose this?
Yes. I call it a dome, but it's not a dome. It's a square shape. It's very easy for architects, for engineers, for civil engineers to design. It's very easy for subcontractors to build out. Because it's just a square shape. A lot more practical. In Morocco, Northern Africa, you have square minarets. So we have a square, for lack of a better word, dome, and we have a square minaret.
Subhanallah.
You don't need any support system to support a 1,200-pound chandelier.
Absolutely.
We have beautiful pendant lights.
Absolutely, yes.
Which again
true.
makes it a very contemporary feel. Easy to clean.
MashaAllah, that's the uniqueness of this masjid. It really is uniquely placed masjid in the sense that it's representing Islam in Utah more than Islam from somewhere else. MashaAllah.
I have to end by saying that it is functional, but it ended up being big and beautiful also. Even though our priority was not to make it big and beautiful, our priority was to make it functional.
Imam Shib, what exactly is this over here?
This is the camera to catch the sermon over there.
Oh, subhanallah. Tell us about this beautiful camera, because I've never seen
So that's actually turned the other way around now, but it's to catch the Friday sermon, so we don't have to have someone come up with a tripod every single Friday.
Yeah. And which camera is that?
It's a PTZ pan tilt zoom camera. And then we have one over there to catch the side view of the Imam when he's leading the Taraweeh prayer.
Subhanallah.
So all of these things were built in, and the wiring was placed during the construction phase, even though we just finished adding the camera a couple months ago with our AV system.
Subhanallah. This is state-of-the-art technology.
This is the sisters area. Sisters area does not have to be as big as the brothers area. Being very practical, their Friday attendance is a lot less, probably on a ratio of 1:5, but it should be as beautiful as the brothers prayer area, as nicely done. So if you notice, they have their own dome. Sometimes the sisters area does not, but this is comfortable, as beautiful as the brothers area. The only difference is that it is 1/3 of the size of the brothers prayer area.
Yes. If you didn't mention, I would never know that this is the sisters area, mashallah. What is the reason of this particular shape?
The point was that 5 daily prayers we would pray over here. Why open up the large prayer space, the wear and tear, the heating and the air conditioning for just 2 brothers or 3 brothers that come for the Dhuhr prayer. And the entrance is designed as such that the sisters on Fridays feel that they are entering through the main entrance, but on Friday the brothers will move up to the main prayer space, and this is the sisters' prayer space.
This shape is for the
mihrab, mihrab feel of it.
Right.
You see some masjids can pray, 2,000 people can pray Jummah, but then you have to open up that whole prayer space just for Dhuhr prayer on a Monday afternoon. And how many people actually come on a Monday afternoon for Dhuhr prayer? In hot climate countries, you're able to have that section off where you have the inside, and then you have the middle space which is covered, and then you have the open space. You might be able to do that, get away with that type of design in Florida or California. The countries of our origin where we come from, that open space is used only on Fridays.
Like the courtyard.
Like the courtyard. How do you bring that concept into a cold climate?
MashaAllah, big emphasis on practicality.
Practicality.
Rationality, and not just throwing money for the sake of it.
Yes.
MashaAllah, that's very good. That's very well thought out masjid.
And if we want to make this into the brothers' prayer area, we can easily do that. That's why this is made of glass. So we lift up the shades, and this whole entire area will become the brothers' prayer area.
SubhanAllah. Just lifted up the shades.
Yes, and now you have the feeling that it is one prayer space.
MashaAllah.
And the sisters, can pray at the lower level.
And now it does feel like it's
one prayer space.
Drop down screen as well.
So they can see the imam. This is the women's lounge. For the 5 daily prayers, if the brothers are praying in the women's area, then if a few sisters come for the 5 daily prayers, where are they going to pray? They would pray here. But on Fridays or Ramadan during Taraweeh, this would become the room for moms with kids.
So you adjust according to the situation.
Yes. When you have limited space, limited budget, limited size, then you have to use rooms for different purposes.
So however the situation arises, the masjid adopts according to it. TV is for the sisters to look at the imam and whatever is going on in the main musalla.
Correct.
MashaAllah. Even these arches, they remind you of Islamic architecture.
Right. We try to put in arches where we could. This is the sisters only entrance for those sisters who prefer to use the sisters only entrance.
Right. And this right here is leading us towards
the main lobby. And these doors provide them the privacy they need. So that becomes the sisters' area. But this is the main entrance. And again, if sisters prefer to use the main entrance, they can. That's why you have the tiles with 2 different colors. So this section just kind of very elegantly leads into their area.
SubhanAllah. It's beautiful tiles.
Usually what happens is, in a mosque, because we're trying to build on a budget, we don't have much space for socializing. And people come to the mosque not just to pray, but to also say hello, hi to each other and, to see how we're doing. In a mosque, usually you just have prayer space, the shoe area, and then you're outside. You don't have any middle area. So where can people socialize? Then they end up talking inside the mosque and disturbing others who are trying to pray. So here we have a big, long, wide hallway so people can actually socialize. It's not like the moment you walk in, you have to take off your shoes and then the next foot is in the mosque. No, you have an area, keep your shoes on and walk around and socialize before you actually enter the mosque area.
SubhanAllah. And what made you have this buffer zone before the masjid, mashallah?
Because you need place to sell food on Fridays. You need, for all practical reasons, people need to ask questions. There's a lot of things happening. And again, the main reason people need to socialize.
Why do we have 2 different type of tiles?
Well, the sisters use the main entrance. They're welcome to come in. And this just is a demarcation that leads into their area.
SubhanAllah. So it goes all the way?
If you look on Friday, they get the feel that they're not entering through some back alley because they're going straight into that main entrance. As a matter of fact, men have to go here and swing this way, make a right turn. But sisters get the feel that they are.
MashaAllah.
And of course, for the daily prayers, 5 daily prayers, the brothers are using that area, walking straight in.
Brothers have to do an extra effort, but sisters can, inshallah, directly go.
If they come through here.
Imam Shab, tell us why so much emphasis on the convenience of the sisters, because we don't get to see that a lot.
Unfortunately, some mosques, they don't give due consideration to the sisters area. And that has led to a backlash and bad PR for Muslims in general. I think we need to be fair.
Need to do better.
And need to do better.
MashaAllah. I think the sisters will appreciate that, inshallah.
We have an exhaust fan for the shoe area.
Allahu Akbar.
You do have smelly shoes. So, even.
MashaAllah, that's amazing. Exhaust fan just for the subhanallah. That's amazing. That's a lot of thought put into everything.
You have 2 stairways actually. One stairway from the sisters area that leads down into their area, and one here.
And we're going towards the multi-purpose
hall. Well, first of all, it's built on a slope lot, so that's why it does not feel like a basement or lower level. It feels like a floor of its own because you walk out and you're there on the ground floor. Parking level outside is built on 4 levels, 4 tiers because of the slope lot. So it's like you get 2 buildings for the price of 1. So people coming in just for a social event, they don't have to go upstairs, they don't have to come through the upstairs, they're just coming straight for this event.
What kind of events happen here?
Well, this is truly a multi-purpose hall. We had, for the November 2020 elections, people came and cast their votes because this was a polling place. And it was very convenient. They don't have to take off their shoes, they don't have to go through the mosque area, they come straight into this hall and leave straight outside. This was also a vaccination for the Salt Lake County Health Department for the COVID-19 vaccines. But other than that, it's used for our community social events, Sunday school classrooms, youth lounge, funeral services, easy to bring in the casket. All of that was taken into consideration.
So janazah prayers.
Right.
And it seems like you're very involved here with the local government and local community. Why do you feel it's important?
We do emphasize, and we should prioritize what is happening to the Muslim Ummah at a global level. But I think we should also be concerned about the wellness of the people living in this country, be very much involved in how to make the lives of people living in this country, in our state, in our city better. And for that, you would need to be involved. Civic engagement at all levels would be required to bring about a change for the better. Because wherever Muslims have gone, they have added in a positive way to the culture, they have added to the moral compass, they have added to the standard of living, they have added in every positive way to the local community. So we should be doing the same. If you look at the tile design here, it's made out for rows. So you can easily put out the rows to pray. Safon ki tarah bani hui na?
Ji. So you can pray here too.
You can
as
pray
overflow.
Here. Yes. Screen will drop down.
MashaAllah, screens everywhere.
Yeah, the screen will drop down.
And you have the projector right
then
here.
You'll have
You mentioned the weekend school. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we have about 350 children at ours for Sunday school. So we have 2 sessions, morning session and afternoon session, just to accommodate the over 350 students that we have. We have a preschool here for 3 and 4-year-olds, full-time or part-time, Monday through Friday.
Part-time and full-time.
Half day, full day, 2 days a week.
Is there a waiting list or it's okay?
No, there's no waiting list, but it's growing. We just started it a year ago.
Might need a waiting list soon, inshallah. Please tell us about the kitchen.
Kitchen is a kitchen, you know, a must-have.
This is where the barakah happens, mashallah. Looks very professional with this. We have the daig right there, mashallah. It's a massive fridge.
This was just an empty room when the construction was completed. The kitchen, the shoe shelves, the audio video system, we all added later on. Nightmare scenario for any masjid is that you start building and funding stops. And there are masjids like that where they've started construction in 2018 and they're still not complete yet. So that's why you take things out just to finish on a budget. And then you can always, once you've moved in and started using the masjid, you can always build later. So this was all built later, the kitchen.
But you had the rooms just in case.
Yes. The room and the plumbing was done, but it was just an empty room. No tiles, no countertops, no appliances.
Right, like an unfinished basement.
Like an unfinished basement.
That's very strategic. And how do you feel now that, mashallah, everything is complete?
Everything is completed. It's, alhamdulillah, it's good. It's community is using it, community is benefiting it, and that's the most important thing. More than the beauty and the functionality of the masjid is the community benefiting from it. Sister stairway comes this down. It's really nice because it gives them the privacy they need right here. Because this is again their wudu area and their restroom. The tables and the chairs, you need double doors to bring it all in, bring it all out.
MashaAllah, that's quite a lot of storage.
Yeah, because masjids need a lot of storage space. Otherwise, you have tables and chairs all over the place, and it's an eyesore. I could probably open a consulting company for masjids.
You should do that, Imam, inshallah, absolutely.
Because what happens is every community is basically reinventing the wheel.
That's right.
They're learning by trial and error, but by the time they're done, then why don't we learn from other people's mistakes? We don't have to have a cookie cutter masjid. Every masjid doesn't have to look the same. The hardest part masjids have is with the wudu area. If that's not built correctly, then water splashing all over the place, it doesn't drain properly, and there's so many elements that you need to take into consideration when building a wudu place. Stool height has to be perfect. You have to have the grab bar, so it's convenient for people with weak knees to get up and down. If you want to wash the right foot, left foot, you can swivel this. As long as the water drops on the slope, it will not splash.
By the slope, you mean this?
Yes.
Usually they don't have that. MashaAllah, we have lights here as well.
Light for each person, of course, soap dispenser. We actually copied the plans from a masjid in Chicago.
Which masjid?
Masjid Usman. Northern Africa, Muslim countries like Algeria, Tunis, this type of minaret or design is very common, square shape. So it just matches the dome. Individual prayer room, people expect the mosque to be open 24/7, but in the US you cannot keep the mosque open 24/7. So we have an individual prayer room that we can open for people, for travelers. A person can come 24/7. There's a wudu area over there. See that wudu?
Yes.
And he can pray here.
And how do they get access?
We're going to be having a code here. Access code.
And what made you think about this?
Because you have taxi drivers, you have people who are coming at odd hours of the day and night, and they need a place to pray. We're right with I-15. People are driving, travelers. They need a place to pray, and the masjid is not always open. When I'm on a road trip, I rather pray at a masjid than at a gas station. And then I have guessing game, will the masjid be open or not if I get there?
Very common, every day.
But what happens if we can have a place where someone can pray and it's accessible 24/7? And we don't have to worry about the safety and the security of the building. And actually this concept was derived from the Turkish brother in our community, because in Turkey I heard that the lobby area before you enter the masjid is open 24/7 for anyone to pray. We can't section off the lobby in the masjid like they do in Turkey, but we could have a space, an individual prayer space. Most shoe shells are like this.
Yes.
This is slanted. You can see your complete shoe.
Right, diagonally. Better visual of the shoe.
Of your shoe. And then we put the strip so your shoe doesn't slide off.
Wow, that's a lot of detail, Imam. Why? What?
I'm a perfectionist.
MashaAllah. Yeah.
To be perfect.
Subhanallah, which is good for the Ummah. We need more people like you, Imam Shah, mashallah. We are blessed. The community here is blessed, alhamdulillah. Because that detail is very detailed, mashallah. I think Allah gave you the opportunity from the masjid from the ground up, and
I've traveled to a lot of states, with the Tabligh Jamaat and others. I've traveled, seen a lot of the masajid, seen the plus and the minus, the pros and the cons, the good things and the mistakes that other communities have made with their masajid. So you learn from all the masajid. The more you travel to other masajid, and with this in mind, hey, they got this thing right. This is. I really need to implement. Some places you're like, what were they thinking?
Imam Shah, please, if you have any final messages.
Every masjid is the house of Allah, even if it is as simple as making a line in the sand, calling it a masjid. That is a masjid. Or if it's a multi-million-dollar building, it's the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. What is most important is that we come and we worship and use the masjid for the purpose for which it was built.
For the people who are thinking about Utah, inshallah.
It's a growing community. Honestly, it's not as active as other communities in terms of programs and activities, but slowly but surely we are getting there. It's going to take some time. We are on the right track.
Inshallah, may Allah bless this community, alhamdulillah.